Hi, from Martin Publishing Services. I love to work on memoirs. I love to design for memoirs. I love to work with authors through the memoir designing process. And so today I wanted to take a look at some memoir covers. As a cover designer, for me, it's all about that title and that subtitle. If your book is not properly titled, then your design is not going to match your content. So these 5 covers that I have pulled up, I know that they probably went through several rounds of titling, because think of how hard it is to sum up your whole story in one word. Or most of these have one word. 4 of these have one word, and the rest, or the remaining, the 5th cover is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. So I'm going to get started with The Unwinding of the Miracle. I haven't done any really research on these books. Just as I was going through Amazon looking, these are covers that jumped out at me. I thought it was interesting that the ones I was attracted to were single word titles, except this one. So this is The Unwinding of the Miracle, and this is definitely a great title to inspire cover design. Most of your large publishing companies, they will go through several rounds of cover design. I have found for me, because I get to work directly with the author, and I have a very good process, and I have maybe just a different way of doing things. Most of the time, I do get the cover design right on the first time. But what I like about working with memoirs is it's challenging, because it has to hit on all the points. Memoirs is a tough market to be in, and I like it because memoirs, I guess, allow me to be most creatively artistic, whereas my nonfiction covers, they're highly technical. And so this helps me tap into another area of my brain, or to work with another artist. I can't do everything, and I can do a lot, but I think the most powerful thing that we can do is act on the knowledge when we need help. And so sometimes I will work with another illustrator to help me bring the cover to life. I'll make sure, they're a good fit with the author. And sometimes we work with digital illustrators, or occasionally we'll work with a watercolor artist or a colored pencil artist. So this book, The Unwinding of the Miracle, I like that they used the thread on the word M instead of, I personally look for ways to not be obvious. Like it's kind of like the low-hanging fruit, to make unwinding the word that's unwinding. And so what I like to challenge myself to look for ways to include the design aspect, but in not such an obvious manner. So The Unwinding of the Miracle, a memoir of life, death, and everything that comes after. So when I see a book like this that has these 2 circles on it, or has some type of a circle on it, those were usually not on there when it was first released, because a book can't be a bestseller if it's never been released. Now you can plan ahead for a quote, like this one from Kelly Corrigan. And now I'm going to pop over, and they definitely have this. Okay, and it says with a new afterword. So I'm going to look and see if what the original cover may have looked like. Like this is on the paperback. Sometimes you just can't find it here. You got to dig around. All right, so I go to audiobook, and I can see that this is basically the same cover, but a different color palette. And hardback is the same. Okay, paperback is what's different. So they may have, I thought it was interesting that the color palette is changed, but the other things are not. if we go out here and we Google the Unwinding of the Miracle, and we go on to images. Okay, so this was probably the first cover. This looks like the one that would probably be the first cover. Oh, a couple different versions. Okay, so we have this black, and I just couldn't see what she had in that thumbnail. So I definitely can, I feel like this was not a traditional publishing house's design. This may have been the first design that she came out with. And then we also have this one, which I don't know what side I should, okay, eBay. So that looks more like maybe the first one that came out, and then she was like, oh, let's redo. And then it ended up at a publishing company, possibly. I'm not sure. I haven't spent time tracking all that down, but I do like to look at the evolution of the cover. That's very interesting. Okay, and so this one, these last four are single word covers, titles, and which I love because you have to be so just on point with everything, one word to convey to the author what your book is about, and also have enough play in that title to allow your designer to tap into it. So of course, if I hadn't seen the cover, if I just saw the word smacked, I would still gravitate toward, oh, well, this is obviously about the drug. And so I look at the subtitle, A Story of White Collar Ambition, Addiction, and Tragedy. And unfortunately, that is a very oft repeated story out there. You need drugs to stay awake so you can conquer the world, and then that just is going to lead you to addiction and tragedy. I love that they did not put drugs on the cover. I mean, this was a very creative way to relay that tragedy that this story culminates in. I was trying to look at what they have. I can't really tell. Though it's probably just a frame, a glass frame, a picture frame, possibly. And let's see, I think you'll also sometimes see the audiobook design has to change. If the first design doesn't allow for a square shape to be pulled from it, then you'll see that has to be redesigned. So Smacked by Eilene Zimmerman. I'm probably not spelling that right. Okay, so let's go to her. Images for her. And I don't see any. I thought I saw one. Oh, here. What is this? Okay, on Penguin Random House. Is that just the audiobook? Because it was square. Oh, okay. It has a shot, a different cover. Okay, so I'm going to go back over here to shopping and see if there's anything else. Okay. All right, so I don't know the evolution of that cover, but I like it. All right, next up we have Educated, which the title and, of course, that image lets you know this does revolve around something to do with education, and it's a memoir, so it could go a few different ways. Educated on life, maybe. That's what I'm always looking to be. Let's learn from each other, our experiences. And you can see, I love that. So if you look closer at the cover, it's definitely telling you more of the story. A young girl in the country. Interesting. I'm intrigued. We homeschool and I've been on that homeschooling journey for a long time. And one thing I'm ever cautious of is not to screw up my kids. Like, my goal is not to control them. It's to give them the tools that they need to succeed, to become functional adults. And I don't feel like our public school system does the job as well as it can. I know the teachers would like to have more freedom, but the government is not exactly about freedom. So let's see. Also, as I'm going through, I'm definitely noticing all of these books by traditional publishing houses where they've got their Amazon descriptions on point. They've got their, like, all the SEO going there. Let's see if I pop over to audiobook and let's see, paperback. So the description, that's where I was going. All right, born to survivalist in the mountains of Idaho, Tara Westover was 17 the first time she set foot in a classroom. Her family was so isolated from mainstream society that there was no one to ensure the children received an education and no one to intervene when one of Tara's older brothers became violent. When another brother got himself into college, Tara decided to try a new kind of life. Her quest for knowledge transformed her, taking her over oceans and across continents, to Harvard and to Cambridge University. Only then would she wonder if she'd traveled too far, if there was still a way home. So it's pretty good. I've had that on my read list for a while, but I don't like to say I don't have time, but I will say reading is not a priority for me right now. All right, so Heavy. I love this. This is very typography based. I know from the word heavy, I just feel like this is going to be from an African American in our community. That lingo fits with that. And I love the colors that were used here. Now, these were within my own personal color wheelhouse. Like, this is how I decorate is in this. So I thought it was interesting when I popped over to look at the hardcover and the audiobook, they had changed it, which it does make it, those colors do have more gravitas. So that really, I always like saying, oh, here's the exact same design in a different color palette. Because you're always like, oh my God, that changed so much. But I still like this one. Let's see, an American memoir. My eyes ain't what they used to be, for sure. I don't know what this little print says. Must be a quote. Come on. Oh my God, heavy is astonishing, difficult, intense, layered. Wow, just wow. So that's an awesome quote. And I like that the typography allowed a place for that quote to go. So when a cover designer starts, one thing that you have to do is get all the text that is going to be on the cover, because you have to make sure you're designing to allow a backdrop for that text to go and for it to be legible. So I would love to see all of the versions they went through before they ended up with this heavy slab serif font. And I like how it creates little arrows. Well, that's not an arrow, but these arrows here, I like that. And on the design also allowed for these future endorsements to go on it. It did not interfere with the existing design to pop those two buttons on there. In Heavy, Laymon writes eloquently and honestly about growing up a hard-headed Black son to a complicated and brilliant Black mother in Jackson, Mississippi. From his early experiences of sexual violence to his suspension from college to time in New York as a college professor, Laymon charts his complex relationship with his mother, grandmother, anorexia, obesity, sex, writing, and ultimately gambling. Heavy is a gorgeous, gutting, generous memoir that combines personal stories with piercing intellect to reflect both on the strife of American society and on Laymon's experiences with abuse. By attempting to name secrets and lies, he and his mother spent a lifetime avoiding. By attempting to name secrets and lies he and his mother spent a lifetime avoiding, he asks us to confront the terrifying possibility that few in this nation actually know how to responsibly love, and even fewer want to live under the weight of actually becoming free. And there you have it. And so what I tell clients is your title and your subtitle are a reflection of your content. It's the hierarchy is like title, subtitle, book description, content, and those should all work together. There should be one general theme that we're all being drawn back to, and that should speak through the text and through the design. Really good. And then we have Maid. Maybe this, I love this particular cover design layout. You'll see from time to time, I love that it has this stripe down the side. I love that the title has a duality to it. Hard work, low pay, and a mother's will to survive, Maid. And I know parents everywhere, they can resonate with that. We do so much for our kids, and then one day you're like, I gotta do more. I gotta do more. I can't just keep barely surviving. Like we gotta go big or go home here. And that your will to survive is definitely going to help you achieve. And some people are like, I'm okay just barely surviving, and other people are like, I'm going big or going home. So, but I love the design. It's a simple color palette. It's a very, those yellow gloves are very recognizable as cleaning gloves. You're not gonna really find those associated with much else, or if you poll people, yellow gloves, they're gonna think cleaning gloves. And I like that they're dirty, like a good pair of cleaning gloves should be. And I will end with saying that the simple covers are the hardest because everything has to be perfect. When you have, it's kind of like a single word title, when you have so little on the page, which this actually has a lot, but I'm going to go do a deep dive here in a minute and see if there was an evolution. Just flipping through here to the hardcover, like you can see just how different that looks not having that stripe. So no stripe. I like the stripe. I've only used that maybe once. I've reserved that for books that really need that additional punch for whatever reason. Let's see. All right, and that's the audio book cover. So if we go Maid by Stephanie Land. Okay. So far, I don't see any other evolution. Oh, here it is. Oh, okay. And this is interesting too, which is definitely a case for a whole nother video. Only so much time in the day. Is what I've noticed is the covers are redesigned for different markets, and I love this too. It's a hard toss up, right? Like they even changed the fonts. See, it's similar, but see how this A has that little comma-like feature and it doesn't here. And this is more feminine, I think, is what I'm seeing here, to go with the pink. So very, very interesting. I like it. And so the cover that I did that I incorporated the stripe down the side was also a memoir. Well, it was I don't know if they actually classified it as a memoir. The shoebox effect, transforming pain into fortitude and purpose. So, but I wanted to utilize the stripe here. But I love the dominance that it has, that it just kind of adds to the story. This was, I actually had to design this bow. Oh wait, there it is. Okay. Like this was not a stock photo. I got to do, which I do love to work in Photoshop. It's just like sometimes you get caught up just working with one tool. But what I love about Adobe is Photoshop integrates with InDesign, it integrates with Illustrator, and you pull it all together. So we knew going in that we were going to leave room for this button. Like they wanted this text on there. I already had that information going into it. The thing with working with memoirs is because they are so personal, and I do work directly with the author. Even when I'm doing work for publishing companies, I like to have, and I kind of require it, it's just part of my mojo, to have a direct connection with the author. So Marcy and I spent some time together. I learned about her story. I couldn't recreate her personal shoebox exactly. And well, one reason was it wouldn't have looked good on the cover. It was just tied with a little rinky dink, like a shoestring. So, but it was just a cardboard shoebox. So I wanted to use that. And basically I love this red, yellow, black color palette. These are all separate marketing elements. This book is separate. The shoebox is separate. The photos are separate. The paper clip is separate, so that things can be used in marketing, like on banners or business cards, etc. And instead of just the single image, you tie the whole design together into what I call book branding. All right, and that is my little review on some memoir covers. Hope y'all enjoyed that. This was totally impromptu. And I've been working with Dennis, or Danae. He's in Canada and I'm in Texas, and we just mispronounce everything. I told him, I'm calling you Dennis. It's just locked in. So he said that was fine. Weekendpublisher.com, and he's like, just get out there and do it. I'm like, oh, I'm not comfortable on camera. And but who is? I don't know. It's kind of scary to say who all is actually. Like my generation's not really comfortable. We had to get this way. But my kids, they're like, sure, yeah, let's film a video. But all right. So let me know if you have any questions or any comments. I love a good banter. Check you later.